Hi, this is the Big 6 Information and Problem Solving Model by Janice Myers. Before I describe what the Big 6 problem solving model is, I first want to talk about some frustrations that students have with research and technology. I know that whenever I assign a project or a research project or have the students go look for information on the internet on their own, they often struggle with where to even start. They don't know what the problem they're even trying to solve is, or they don't know where to find the information or what question they need to answer. Another frustration is once they do figure out what they're trying to solve, they have an issue finding the resources, so they don't know where to find resources at. Once they're able to find the resources, the students struggle with what to do with the information because it can be a little overwhelming for them to take in everything. They also struggle with how to organize and present that information. The final thing that frustrates me when I'm trying to work with students in research and technology is that the students often don't reflect on their product or the process. In their mind, it's just to get the project done, and then they don't really want to think about it anymore. So the Big 6 problem solving model actually helps with all of these frustrations that students and teachers and learners all come across. It's a systematic process to find, use, apply, and evaluate information. It can be used in any content area or grade. And it contains 6 stages with 2 substages under each. So first we have task definition, next information seeking strategies, third location and access, fourth use of information, 5 synthesis, and 6th evaluation. So even though these stages are numbered 1 through 6, they certainly don't have to be done exactly in this order. But in order to follow the problem-solving model, you do need to hit each one of these steps to successfully complete it. So to better understand each of the 6 stages, I've created a chart. Here we have our 6 stages, the 2 substages underneath each, and then the questions that students would ask themselves on each stage. First, we have task definition, where the students will define the problem and identify the information they need. The questions that they would ask are, what am I expected to do? Do I understand what I need to do? And what are the questions I need to answer? Next, we have information seeking strategies, where the students will identify all resources and select the best resources. The questions are, where can I start to look for information? Where can I go or who can I talk to get the information? And what are the best sources to use? Third, we have location and access, where the students will locate resources and find information and resources. The questions that they will need to answer are, where can I find the resources? How do I search to get resources? And where do I find the information in the resource? Use of information has the students engage with the information they found and extract relevant information. So the students will answer, what type of information did I find? Will the information answer my questions? How do I write notes? And is this information reliable? For synthesis, students will organize from multiple resources and present the information. So they will answer, how do I organize the information? How do I present the information to answer all the questions? And did I create a bibliography? Finally, the students will reflect using evaluation. This will have the students judge the product and judge the process. So they will answer, did I solve the problem? Was my research and presentation effective? Was the process efficient? And what would I change next time? I know that I use the word student a lot when presenting this chart, but this actually could apply to adult learning as well. So you could just replace the word student with learner. So my appraisal of this model is that I love that it increases information literacy, that students or learners are able to go out, find information, understand the information, and apply the information to the problems they're trying to solve. I also like the whole problem-solving atmosphere. I like that it can be applied into any classroom. Typically, math classrooms aren't thought of as being information and research classrooms, but I encourage my students to answer their own questions and find their own resources when they have trouble understanding something. So using this model would certainly help my students solve those problems. It allows the students to work smarter, not faster. This quote actually came from the Big 6 website. I also think that if the students are shown this method whenever they're in the younger grades, that it would also allow them to work faster once they reach high school. And they'll have a process set out for how they need to research and obtain information. I like that it increases the 21st century skills such as problem solving and synthesizing information, applying information. And I also love that the knowledge is applicable beyond the classroom. Like I said, this doesn't just apply to K through 12 education. This also applies to adult education. It could apply to the workforce, trainings, anywhere else. Whenever you're at home and you have a problem that you need to solve or information that you need to find about something you're trying to buy, you could go through this process. And once you've gone through it so much, it wouldn't be something that you would have to sit down and write out. You would just start going through those different steps. So on the Big 6 website, I found a resource to evaluate and reflect upon. The resource that I found was the KWHL chart. So in my classroom, I currently use KWL charts. In the KWL charts, K stands for what you know about the subject, W stands for determining what you want to learn, and L stands for identifying what you learn as you read or as you go through the lesson, chapter, or unit. I like that they added H, which stands for how you learn more, sources where additional information can be found. I especially like this piece because, like I mentioned before, I often encourage my students to go out and find their own resources when they're struggling with a topic or a lesson. With this resource, a worksheet was provided. This is the worksheet that the students would fill out prior to the lesson, unit, or chapter, and then at the conclusion of the lesson, unit, or chapter. So prior to the lesson, unit, or chapter, the students would write down, what do I already know, what do I want to find out, and how am I going to find out. After they've gone through the information, then they would reflect on what they learned. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the site that I obtained this information from. This article walks you through the KWHL chart. I also like that it points out that one trick you might want to try is to use different color marking pens each time you add information to the chart. This technique will give you a visual representation of knowledge acquired throughout your research experience. So I really would like for my students to be able to see what they learned throughout the chapter, unit, or lesson. So finally, here's my bibliography with my 3 sites that I used, and then the images I used for my presentation. Thank you.